There are two main ways of cooking with your Thermomix, and that is the guided way, which is where you're following the recipe step by step, and it's just follow the bouncing ball, very self-explanatory, explains everything you need to do step by step. And then there's manual. So manual is what you would use if you are confident in the kitchen, you just want to create your own recipes with what you have in the fridge. You don't necessarily want to be followed anything, even though you're not locked into anything with the guided and you can still modify it as needed. You might be one of those people that's just to throw it all in and see what happens, or you found a recipe online that you want to follow. So how do you set that up? So it's guided and manual. And with the manual way, it's where you select the time, the temperature, and the speed yourself. But if you understand the functions and how the Thermomix works and you achieve those different functions that it can do, you'll get a much better result with your cooking and have a much better understanding. So that's what I'm going to quickly run you through today. Now, all of this is in the basic cookbook that comes with your Thermomix. So it looks like this, that's the one you've seen, and you can find all this information in the beginning. There's a section in the beginning that's really good and a section at the end that's really good too. So for the TM6 in this book, I recommend having a look at pages 15 to 23, and also in the back of the book, pages 307 to 324, and that will give you a rundown of everything, but I'll give you a quick overview now. So each speed basically represents a function. Now we have all these other functions, but with our speed, we can control stirring, chopping, mixing, milling, grinding, grating, crushing, mincing, blending, pureeing, and combining. So basically, that's just 11 things I rattled off on the top of my head about things that you can achieve with the speed if you know how and what you want to use those things for. So basically, to achieve stirring, mixing, and combining, you will use speeds 1 to 3. And then speeds 4 to 6 for chopping, grating, one way of mincing. And speeds 8 to 10 are the high-powered ones, obviously. So they are blending, crushing, grinding, and pureeing. So depending on what speed you use, they are the functions. And with that, you want to make sure that you always kind of use the same speed, but the time will vary based on what you're doing. If you want to chop something down, if you chop it a bit and then it needs to be chopped a little bit more, you don't increase the speed, you increase the time. So you'll still use that exact same speed of what I just rattled off or what says in the book, but you'll just adjust the time, even if it's just 1 more second. The other thing that's really cool is that in the back of that book, those pages that I mentioned, so 307 to 324, that gives you an amazing rundown of things that you may want to do in a manual way. So it's not necessarily a recipe, but you just want to steam some vegetables to go alongside with the barbecue, or you just want to make your own salad, or you just want to make something yourself, or you just want to chop something. So if you refer to those pages that I told you, you can find the chopping functions or the grating functions, all those functions I mentioned, and the ingredient and the suggested time and speed. So for example, I've opened up on chopping functions. I've got, that's grating, so it's under the same thing. So if you want to grate some Parmesan cheese, between 50 and 70 grams needs to be cut into 3 centimeter pieces, and you'll do it for 10 seconds on speed 10. And it continues on like so. Chopping, mincing, crushing, grinding, milling, if you're doing coffee beans, if you're doing nuts, if you're doing rice to make flour, and steaming, which is probably a big one because I know a lot of people don't get the use out of the aroma that they would like to. So if you just want to steam your own vegetables, not necessarily follow a recipe, it gives you a list of vegetables, the amount of vegetables, the time it will take and how to set it all up. So that is a really good resource, some very light reading, but some very good information to help you get the most out of your Thermomix.